Welcome back, everyone. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at SQL Server backup and restore, which is an important component as someone who's actually experienced having run a bad query that destroyed a database literally within seconds. And had we not had a backup, the company would have gone under. So backups are extremely important. To do a backup in SQL Server, it's very straightforward. In SQL Server Management Studio, you can right-click a database and choose Tasks, Backup. Let's take a look at this dialog box. On the left-hand side, we have several options. We have the database selection here. If you pick the wrong one, you can change it right here. Your first backup is always going to be a full backup. After a full backup, you can do a differential. Differential is all the changes since the last full backup. For those of you familiar with incremental backup, SQL Server doesn't offer that. So we have differential. We can do the transaction log only. We can also do a copy only backup, in which case it basically is a full backup of the current state of the database, which you can use to, for instance, restore this database to a different server. So we're going to do a full backup right here. We want to back up the database. We could do the files and groups. If you don't remember what that was during the creation of a database. Let me do this quickly. In the creation of the database, we had the option of, not that it's an option, but we can pick the various files and groups. It's selected for us by default, but we could make changes in the process if we wanted to. See here, you have the file types, file groups, etc. Now, I don't want to do that. I just want to back up the database. Let me go back to Publishers and right-click and choose Tasks and pick up Backup. Okay, I'm not quite sure why it's taking so long, but it should come up in a moment. Well, here it is. This destination can cause confusion for people. First, we have disk, which is what we're going to use, or URL if you have a URL that you can back up to directly. But it may be tempting to go down here and click Add to add additional locations. What that really does, it splits the backup over the multiple locations that are listed here. So all of those locations must be available when you do a restore. So generally speaking, unless you have a RAID system or something like that you want to back up to, leave it as a single place to back up. Under media options, we can back up to an existing media set, which we really don't have. We could back up to a new media set and give it a name over here. Notice that the default is to append to an existing backup set, so it doesn't override or delete the old backup set, but you have that option if you want it. We could verify the backup when it's finished. Let me go ahead and check that. We could do a checksum before writing to media to do integrity verification. Continue on error. If there's an error, continue as opposed to stop the backup. Backup options over here, this is the name. For instance, it's called Publisher's Full Database Backup. That's the recommended name, but you can change it to whatever you like. Add a description. Will the backup expire? 0 means it will never expire, but you could put several days or on a particular date that it's going to expire. And if you want to use compression, right now there is no compression. It's set to use the server default settings, but you can also pick compress backup or do not compress backup. Let's go and do this backup right here. Notice the location is putting it's under backup folder. It's going to call it publishers.bak. Should be fairly quick. It's a small database, and we're done. Let's go ahead and presume that publisher has been destroyed. I'm going to literally delete this database and click OK, and it's gone. It's not a matter of can we bring it back. It's gone at this point. What we can do, as we did in one of our earlier videos, we can go ahead and restore a database. And this is a database that's sitting on a device, namely our file system. And I'm going to go ahead and click Add, and this is taking us directly to the backup location, and there's publishers.bak. Let's click OK. and OK. And here it is. It was backed up just recently. You can look at some of the options. You can see it was started and finished in literally less than a second, maybe. Very quick. Anyway, I'm going to click OK here, and publishers was successfully restored. We can go ahead and expand it, see that the tables are there, and they are there. I do want to point out that when you go to most everything in SQL Server, backups being one of them, you can always go to, for instance, if I go to backup right here, you can always go to this little thing up here, this little option that says script. And you can script this action. First, you can do it to a new query window, or you can do it to a file, or you can copy it to the clipboard, or you can basically start a new job if this is something that you want to run on a regular basis. If I were to just take a look at it in a new query window, this is the backup command that's running, backup database publishers to disk. There's the location with no format, no init, and there is the name and a couple of other options that are set there. And you can literally copy and paste this into, a SQL Server agent jobs when we look at that, and it can run it. If you already have created the job, one of the options, as you recall, was to copy it to a job. So you can do it very quickly like that. But this is true for most everything in SQL Server. So if I were to go and, for instance, take a look at table author, I can right-click that and script the table as, create a new table or drop it, whatever. I'm going to create it to a new query window, and you can see that it's going to create the script for us. There you go. So this is a very handy feature of SQL Server that allows you to create your scripts if you already have the object, so you don't have to, create it from scratch, and then you can customize it if you want to. Well, that's it for backup and restore. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're enjoying these, please share them with friends and loved ones. And as always, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.